Yo dog, Kenny here. Next Level Painting. Got another video. Got a pretty special one today. We got a Warhound Titan. As usual, I'm popping off my normal technique, going with some gold real quick. Just real quick to save time later when I actually have to paintbrush all this stuff in. But I just put it at the beginning because it's the first thing I always do. Now I'm laying down a very custom color scheme. It's this really custom blue purple I made. I just wanted something really dark, but I still wanted it to be purple. You'll see it all come together as time goes on. But it looks really blue here, but it's only got a little blue in it. Just every time you make a super custom sweet color, just make sure you make enough of it, because you won't be able to, match it very well if you run out of it halfway through the project. So I definitely always make sure to make a lot of it, and never, so I would never run out. And even if I do run out, I try to make sure I always have a little bit left over so I can try to match the liquid, because it's so hard to match, the final product of, it's just pro tip, man. And as you can see, it looks pretty good as it lays down. Solid color. Here's a good example of the airbrush doing a lot of work. Very subtle, very soft transition. I am working my way up from that super custom color that I just talked about. I am taking a really dark purple, highlighting it up. I'm not going for a traditional Zenithal highlight. I'm going for more of like a radial pop. And I'm working my way up from these light sources. I'm working with the royal purple, but then I'm going to go royal purple mixed 50-50 with magenta. I'm gonna do it all over again. Whatever I do right now, I'll do it again with this magenta mixed with royal purple. And then I'm gonna take that magenta. I'm gonna do it all by itself. Everything I just did. Then I'm gonna take that magenta and I'm gonna mix it 50-50 with pink. I'm gonna do all that again, real soft, like super subtle transitions. Just keep nurturing it. Don't go from dark purple to white. It'll look like crap. Then I'm gonna take that pink that I mixed with that magenta. I'm gonna just go pink now. Work it up, the whole thing, everything we just did yet again. Then I'm gonna take that pink, I'm gonna mix it 50-50 with some white. I'm gonna do all that again. And obviously you're gonna start big, and then you're gonna bring the highlight down to a focal point, because you're trying to make it look like it's exploding out. So you're not just wiping out all the work you do. You're leaving a certain amount of the transition down on the canvas and working your way down toward a focal point. Once I finish all that, I'm gonna get the white out, pure white, and you can see now in the video how it's it's starting to pop out and everything like that. But right now I'm only I think I'm only leaving off with the magentas and everything. But you can totally see this is a very slow process. This takes patience, man. Absolute patience. Just keep going, just keep working, just be subtle, clean the brush often, whenever you start even splattering a little bit of overspray, it starts popping off, just stop, clean the brush, go back to it. And a lot of times I realize what's the solution to that is a little bit more water. Thin out your solution a little bit. If it's too thick, it'll pop off too much. Also, another way, what I do is I run the PSI all the way to the top, and I use whatever my regulator can handle all the way up, 45, 50 PSI. Just that helps push it all through. But like I said, a little bit of water will help clean up some of that speckling. And I know there's a lot of controversy behind using alcohol or Windex. I don't use any of that. I just use water. I'm not trying to alcohol evaporates really fast. So the concept is you can water your paints down, and it won't run when it hits the surface. It'll just dry really fast. But if your water dries way faster than it's supposed to, it's probably going to dry inside your airbrush too. And that'll cause headaches, super clogs, because you're blasting all that air, just drying it rapidly. It's a nightmare. Don't do it. I don't care what anybody says. Don't use any of that alcohol. Just use water. So now you can see a pop in these highlights, coming down to that pure white. And you just got to work it. Like I said, work it. This is the process I always talk about. Do a little bit of pass with your white. Stop. Take a little toothbrush out. Clean the bristles. Just with those bristles, just get them in there. Clean that needle out a little bit. Depress the needle. Blow a little air through it. to get rid of the excess moisture, and then go. And just every couple of strokes. Don't wait for the speckle to happen, because now you can't recover. You gotta go back, clean it. It's a very slow process, but like you are in the detail phase. This is like where, you know, the difference between using an airbrush casually and you try to go professional with it. You got to know all the little idiosyncrasies of the airbrush. You got to know what colors act different ways. Like we're going from a super dark color to pure white. That is the highest chance of you getting some undesirable speckles of white. Like I said, at some point I'm going to do a sick video all about, you know, the mechanical elements of the airbrush. But I just give you a couple of free tips right now. You know, turn that PSI up, get yourself an Owada Eclipse. Don't be afraid to experiment with mixtures. I use a lot of not airbrush ready paints. I'm using only one of this whole process. I'm only using one airbrush ready paint. We're gonna come in real quick and bang these tan colors out. I'm using these like tan, army tan, and these whites. Just super quick, just hit it with a mid-tone, go to a quick highlight, come back to a dark point. So now I'm gonna work on the metals. I cheat a little bit on these big models. Go to your local hobby town or your local game shop if they got, you know, really good brand of primer. Like I use a lot of Tamiya, a lot of testers. Find a couple of really good metals. Like I have a dark gun alloy and like a really bright silvery alloy. I go through and I just say, I lay all these big guns out, these big legs, all this stuff. And I lay them out and I prime them with that dark metal. And then I kind of mist them with that light metal. I do a couple of passes with the dark though, because it is a primer, so I do want it to be on that like resin and not let the resin, you know, interact negatively with the final paint though. The trick though is you got to do a lot of work afterwards. So once you get your gun alloy that you love, once you do a quick misting to highlight it up, you're ready to pull out your airbrush. So now you pull out your airbrush. So now you should have a pretty well transitioned piece of metal. I go in with some dark metals like black metal from, what are they? Vallejo Air. And I go in there and I just start darkening around the little joints and all the nuts, the servos, all that ridiculous stuff. I darken it. Then I'll pull out my brighter one and I'll just kind of quickly pop out the raised surfaces. That's super trick, you know, just keep working it back and forth till you feel like you've gotten any of the weird transitions out. You know, like I go pretty freeform with it. Like I'm not like I'm married to the idea of always start dark, finish light. I go back and forth. You know, starting dark on light is really obvious, but sometimes you want to go back even darker. Sometimes you want to start with a mid-tone. So that's kind of what I do with these metals, is I'll come back, go way darker. That's super easy. Like I said, this video is just blocking the colors in. This is part one. So we will, you know, we're only exploring like how to get all the pieces of the Titan down on the table, how to get them all ready to go. Like this is still like a massive prep phase, you know. And it's not easy, as you can see. I mean, this video is sped up, I think 4x, and you know, I've cut a lot of things out, a lot of dipping my paintbrush in the paints, coming back. You know, like I mean, that is all gone. Like these videos, I don't have that in there. So you're talking like however long this is, 4 times longer than this little process, plus whatever I cut out. And like I said, don't hesitate to just get your hands dirty with this stuff. Like play with it, go back and forth. The airbrush is forgiving once you master the mechanical elements of it. You won't have to worry, but you got to just be confident. Just make it happen. So now I'm coming in, working the big tan section on the carapace. And there's a lot of metal, obviously, that I'm gonna get some overspray on, but I'm doing my best to be tight and not get a lot of overspray. Gonna hit that neutral, hit that mid-tone like we're talking about. That's where I like to start. Then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna pop it out with some whites. Then, which is obviously what we always talk about, but I'm gonna come back to a darker spot and I'm gonna hit that trim. I'm gonna try to hit that segregation and let that marker between the actual exterior and the fine paint job. And like I said, this is part one in a 4-part series on how to paint this Warhound Titan that we're working on. And you know, we got all the social medias like I always talk about. Please check out the links in my description box below me. Follow me on, you know, Facebook. Follow me on Twitter. Would love to hear from you guys. Thanks for watching, players.